Yes. Sports Reports is ordered. Backed by popular demand. Mr. Logical. 2-5. And we break bread, ribs, and $100 bills. Tonight, the Bidens do it again. Always ignoring the lady champs. What's up with that? Oakland got a reverse boycott. They said, don't leave. Just make him sell. And I just want to know why 3 times the fans came there than come to the games during the regular schedule without a boycott. It don't make sense. 27,000 of y'all showed up when you averaged like 8,000. Then, me and Mr. Logical, we gonna play GM. NBA free agency is coming up. We got the draft next week. So what would we do if we were GM for a day? And then Mr. Logical gonna ruffle some feathers. I'm not even going to get nothing off my chest. I'm just gonna say like one sentence. And then Mr. Logical gonna go bang, bang, early.
It might happen early, you know what I mean? Nothing crazy though, nothing crazy. Just some things. Just, you know what I mean? You just gotta get off. You gotta get off your chest early sometimes.
Yeah, you just gotta get it off your chest early sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, Mr. Logical. Yes, what's the word?
Yo, I mean, like, I want to thank the McGuire Air Force Base for giving us a 4-day weekend. I didn't even know about it till Monday, so that's a bonus. So I'll be chilling. Like I said, I got some lacrosse this weekend. Just searching for more ideas. I might have to talk lacrosse because we don't want to just be making up topics like a lot of our sports groups do. We want to have something real. It's cool to have a hypothetical thing every once in a while. Like the GM part we're gonna do these are tangible things we want to do. But real quick, nothing to get off my chest. But listen, if y'all watching the podcast, if you got a TV show and your assistants and your producers and your PAs and they're watching the show and they're getting ideas and then they're funneling them to your ears, just shout us out.
Yo, I was talking
because
to somebody.
I didn't hear anybody say anything about Messi till I said it a couple weeks ago. As far as like, I think every MLS team should pay part of his contract because of the record attendance, so forth and so on. And it just so happens that the Miami Football Club is doing that.
Yo, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it resonates just because I'm wearing this jersey. They go, so before y'all record, how long do y'all pre-meet for? Like do y'all do y'all just like say lines to each other like, yo, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say that, and then you come through, and I was like, practice? You talking about practice? Ain't no practice up in here. We live, baby. We just do this. But Mr. Logical, I was thinking about this, right? And Biggie used to always say UPS is hiring. Is the White House hiring? Because I feel like they need us on the staff. They keep missing the champs. They inviting everybody.
Killing it.
They
are killing the simplest sports task. Like this ridiculous stuff.
President Biden, Dr. Jill, we will do this for you. We will set up the invites. We will invite the correct champion. We will acknowledge that somebody won a championship before the Las Vegas Knights in Las Vegas.
We'll make sure you stand there and get the jersey and the Air Force helmet and the football, take the picture, and then leave instead of just getting the jersey and just walking off without telling anyone. You did that a few weeks ago.
Does the WNBA? Does the WNBA not count?
Yo, it counts
as a major
people
professional
need to stop.
sport.
People need to stop disrespecting women's sports just all around. And like I said, we'll get
shout out to Asia Wilson,
but
not my daughter, but the basketball player.
But it counts, man. It's like the political pandering is a thing that just happens all the time, and it will, as long as you need people to vote to support you, you're gonna pander to a certain group. Colleges do it with boosters. Um, Religious leaders do it with their congregations. Like, hey, I need XYZ from you. You do it with your job. Like you work to a certain level because your effort and energy goes to you getting paid. I understand that premise, but keep it authentic, keep it intelligent, keep it realistic. Stop just doing stuff just for the sake of this will look good. Just do and say the right thing. Say the common sense thing. Have the argument. Like make statements that make sense and have the argument. Invite the champion. That's the process. And I get that a lot of teams didn't want to go to the White House when Trump was in office, but some teams went. I don't, it depends on the coach, GM, or owner's political affiliation. A lot of times, you end up there. But that's happened before. I'm pretty sure it happened a long time. People don't wear their gold medals because they get upset with the United States or whatever country they're from. It happens. You're allowed to make your stance. You're allowed to be political. But
well,
get
the
it right.
sky,
Like,
the
how do you
sky
keep
met with
getting it this
Obama.
wrong?
The sky met with Obama when they won.
That's what I'm saying. So,
I
like,
mean,
you
they're
can
from
even do it.
Chicago, but so that makes sense, I guess.
I mean, yeah. So you have the home teams. I remember George Bush was excited. I think a team from Texas, won, or a team from Texas lost, and he had to like still meet with the other team or whatever. But it's all in good fun. Like, it's a fun thing. It shouldn't be politicized. But you definitely gotta get it right. I mean, like somebody's running the Twitter, like, hey, POTUS, hold on. Like this other team won it last year. It wasn't like they won it in '97. We forgot, like when the WNBA started, we forgot about it. But they are a professional league. They have professional contracts. Asia Wilson has a shoe deal. Like I think she's on her third Nike Cosmic shoe. It's like it's these are like professional women. They work hard. They play hard. They play a shorter season. They play postpartum. They deal with not generating revenue because the people who should support them, women, other women, sports fans should be at the games instead of clamoring that they should get paid more. Like we'll go buy the tickets and they'll get paid more. They won't have to go to Russia and deal with what Brittany Griner had to deal with over some hash oil because of a political situation that was generated here, home station. I mean, in the States, she's in a box in Russia. I don't know if you've ever been locked up overseas. It ain't fun. Yeah, you can see the prison from Norway and it looks great, and the prison from Sweden. It's like, oh, look at these guys. They have their own kitchens. Not the ones in Russia. Not the ones in Korea, North Korea. No, that part of the country, yeah, they don't put cameras in those prisons. There's a lot of, you can see the courtroom, not a lot of cameras in the hallway of the prisons in these places, but they had to go overseas to get this money. Diana Taurasi was a phenomenal college athlete. And I still want to find this clip when one of the reporters asked Gino Auriemma, like, what was your game plan? He was like, I got Diana, they don't. Just, I mean, if somebody would have said that about, if Phil Jackson would have said that about Kobe, man, we would have never stopped seeing that clip. But I remember when I saw it, I was like, that's dope. We got Diana, they don't. Like that. But like I said, the White House, I mean, I think their approval rating is probably not very high. Made a lot of promises in 2020. Made a lot of outlandish statements. Yeah, like if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Just silly stuff. And then it just kind of just keeps continuing on and on and on. Like I said, the whole walking out when the whole Don dude keep falling off his bike. I'm like, listen, cut it out. Cut it out. Get it together. Hire some real people who actually know what the hell they're doing. Stop just placating and pandering to people and hiring people who don't know what the hell they're doing. Get the women the respect they deserve. Title IX was signed for a reason. So let's act like that's the case.
It was just 2 months ago that you and I sat here and I was mad at Dr. Jill because she tried to invite LSU and Iowa to the White House. And, on some levels, I understand it because, it was a historical landmark moment that 10 years from now, when women's sports and basketball in particular are way more popular than they are right now, we're going to look at that moment as the catalyst that set it off. You know what I mean? Between Angel and Caitlyn, Angel doing the "You Can't See Me" back at Caitlyn because she was doing it for a couple of games and nobody cared. And then all of a sudden we got into this whole big national conversation about class. So Jill Biden, Dr. Jill, decided to invite both teams. I was pissed off about it because I mean I know you were okay with it, but I was a little pissed off about it because I was like, hey, there's winners and losers, and this is what the winners get. This is a perk that you get for winning the game, which led to Angel Reese, saying that they weren't going to go to the White House. But then eventually, obviously, Kim vetoed her, and they were going to go to the White House, because that's Americana, baby. So, as this was going on.
But the coach is a big Trump supporter. So like I thought it wasn't going to happen, but I think just for the sake of tradition, you go to the White House.
Well, I think Angel just kind of, and I love Angel, Baltimore stand up. I think she just like overplayed her hand just a little bit. And
she was emotional because like people were taking shots directly at her.
Definitely,
and that's the thing was like they were taking shots directly at her in protection of someone who did the same thing that she did to her. So it's like that's one thing. It's like if she just was like going at Caitlyn all night and it never happened and people taking shots, she could look at it like, all right, they're taking shots at me and it sucks and I hate it and I'm dealing with it, and she could respond emotionally. But she's like, yo, they're taking shots at me over the same thing this girl was doing. Like I did her move.
After making comments about how she looked all season and all that kind of stuff like that. So Dr. Jill invited them and we were just kind of like, yo, what are they doing? Like, well, I was like, what are they doing? So I woke up this morning, and I grabbed my phone, looked at some stuff, and then I saw congrats to the Las Vegas Golden Knights on their first Stanley Cup in just their 6th season. The first major professional franchise in such a proud American city. Today, the team and entire community are champions. And I said, hold up. I said, I swore the Aces won the title like last season. Like, not like you said, it wasn't like 5 years ago or whatever. It wasn't in the past. I was like, this just happened. Like, so I had to like get on Google real quick, and I was like, yes, they won this past. They are the defending champion right now. Right now as we speak. So yes, congratulations to the Vegas Knights. We talked about it. One of my get it off my chest was about how they were going to win the title and look at Vegas now and all that kind of stuff. But there's 2 champions and one came first.
Completely forgot.
Yeah. So the Storm, when they won the title, they went to the White House, saw Biden and everything. And then the Sky, as I mentioned, went to go see Obama, the Chicago Sky. So that makes sense. They're from Chicago. But like, are we at that point? Are we at a point now where who cares about going to the White House?
Well, I think we're at a point where you want to keep traditions going. It's just that the traditions are being like manipulated and politicized to the point where it's like everything is so diluted because you don't know what's genuine. You don't know if Biden really cares about the Vegas Golden Knights because I haven't read it. I don't know if he sent out a tweet about the Nuggets.
Not that I've seen, at least.
And that game was the night before. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. But and that's the thing is like, why are you congratulating the Vegas Knights? Is the owner a big donor? Is the owner a big pharma guy? Is he a big communications guy? Did he donate to you? Did he help you win Nevada? Because I know there was a lot of recounts in that region between Arizona, Nevada was like a very slow count.
Mm-hmm.
So like
it took a few days.
Was his influence in Nevada for helped you win, and that's why you mentioned it? Because like I said, Denver was the night before, but he lost Colorado. Colorado was red all day.
Ooh, Mr. Logical with the conspiracy hat.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like it seems inauthentic that and a little bit just like I said, just the pandering aspect of it. That's the part that bothers me because, like I said, if he doesn't have a congratulations, because the Nuggets, that is literally their first NBA championship for that franchise,
right?
and it took them way longer than Vegas. So like the relief of the Denver fans is way higher than Vegas because Vegas fans are winning. They just got a new football team, or they got a football team.
They
got
got
a
something that
champion.
resembles a football team. They wear football uniforms. I don't know if they got a football team.
Yeah, I mean, they have issues, but Tom Brady will come out of the booth. It'll be great. They'll talk about it all year. But then you have championship fights. This championships just happen in Vegas all the time.
Yeah,
like it's just like a championship type city. Shout out to Las Vegas. But to just like I said, just to shout them out, it just seems a little forced, and I just feel like there was an agenda. And with the Joe Biden thing, like I said, me and you didn't agree on it because I looked at it like, well, women's sports needs to be highlighted. So inviting both teams does provide the opportunity to highlight sports. The problem is the Iowa caucus, that influence. Like I said, the LSU coach was a big Trump supporter his entire time because she won at Baylor. I think she went. So it's one of those things is like, I'll invite Iowa just because I don't want to just deal with Kim and her Trump support in the White House without getting the Iowa placate, to placate to Iowa, get them all there under the guise of, look what women's sports did.
Right.
So like, you don't know what, what's real and what's an agenda. So just stick to the tradition and you won't have any problems.
Somebody told Angel, put your glasses back on.
Now look at them. Now look at them. See what happens when you disrespect people.
Yeah. So we were wondering, what was going to be the windfall, or what was going to happen after that women's tournament as far as women's basketball goes. And I am here to tell you that game one, ESPN platform's viewership this year for the WNBA, the game was up 103% from last year's game. So I think that's a direct effect of Caitlin and Angel, because women's basketball wasn't in our universe in that way. You have your hardcore WNBA fans, you have your people that know of the WNBA, and you have people that probably watch just the playoffs. I'm not a big WNBA watcher. I check it out, I keep up with it somewhat, and I'm there for the playoffs. So myself included in that. Brittany Griner, just she's come back, so a lot of people are interested in that as well. On both sides, people that cheer for her and those people that hated what Kaepernick did, because she made some comments about America that they don't like. So now she's a polarizing figure in that way, and they left the Marine over there and brought her home. So, we got all this kind of extra stuff that's cooked into the WNBA, but it's awesome because now the WNBA has something to build on, and hopefully they continue to build on it.
Yeah. I think the WNBA players, and I think the NCAA female basketball teams, they, in my opinion, because their best talent goes to college and goes to WNBA, I think you get not better product, because I don't want to.
Well, they don't have one and dones really.
They don't have a lot of one and dones. They LSU got a lot of transfers. Haley Van Lith is going to be there, the left-handed assassin from Louisville.
And I think that was who Caitlin originally gave the "You Can't See Me" to.
I think no. She told them they were down 15. Shut up. She's like, you're down 15 points. Shut up.
That's what she said to Haley. Yeah.
She did the "You Can't See Me," I think, in the game before that. But with right now, the NBA draft is coming up, and the top two players, one guy played in a league that wasn't really on TV, and the other guy's in France. Brandon Miller played at Alabama, but he had a poor showing in the tournament.
Yeah, he's more infamous than famous.
Yeah, the Twins play in this overtime league, once again, not highly visible. Whereas women's college basketball, you fell in love with Sue Bird and Rebecca Lobo and Maya Moore and Shamika Holdsclaw and Candace Parker and Becky Hammond.
Swin Cash.
Swin Cash and Lisa Leslie and Tina Cooper, like all of these, all these women that played big time college 3-4 years. Brianna Stewart, she literally never lost. It felt like
Sabrina
Sabrina Ionesco. I mean, like
Deladone.
Elena Deladon. I mean, like she was out of Delaware. She was killing people. So it was like we can run off all these names because they stay there for 3-4 years, and when they're on top, they play like they're on top.
And I don't even see. We said all that. I don't even know if we said Skylar.
Skylar Diggins.
Yeah.
Shout out. Like,
what I'm saying? Yeah.
So women have they have a great impact. So, and we see them in the league. We like I said, the leagues without helmets are easy to market. Like I said, straight up, let's keep it 100. It's easier to market them if they're more marketably attractive in the traditional sense. So that always helps. And I know they like to put like Haley Van Lith and like the Cavender twins that were playing in Miami. They got the NIL deals. So
WWE.
whatever you got to do to highlight, like in the League of Their Own, when they were out there playing baseball in skirts, they were upset. It's like, listen, we want to attract people, and I think they're not doing the skirt aspect of it, but they're using their platforms to attract fans to the game.
Yeah,
and they're doing a good job of it.
I think Angel Reese was doing something with Sports Illustrated, and the swimsuits and whatnot.
Swimsuits.
So crossover appeal.
They're getting shoe deals now, and they're getting shoe deals. Players out of LSU are getting Puma shoe deals. They can't wear them on the court because of the Nike contract that LSU has, but they have a Puma shoe deal. So anytime they're chilling and they post to Instagram, they're getting paid. So they are professional, like they're top flight college athletes that are transitioning to the WNBA, and they're becoming professional athletes. They're winning championships. They're hoisting trophies. They're working as hard as they can to be the best at their sport. And it seems like there's just layer on top of layer on top of layer disrespect to their efforts.
Yeah, and it's coming from the highest office in the land. That's the crazy part about it. Like, you expect this from your homeboy or somebody that you kick it with that's like, yo, women's basketball, what? You don't expect that from the people that are supposed to recognize the champions of each sport. I mean, obviously, like, we don't hear much about the MLS champion, going to the White House, or like I never even considered the fact that hockey champions might go to the White House, because most of them are Canadian and all that stuff anyway. So like, I don't even know if that's a thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I think most teams are probably, if there's 25 people, maybe 11, 12 of them are American, but they're probably not the star.
But even Tom Brady, blew off the White House a time or two, for whatever reason. I know a lot of people speculate of why that may be, but there were a few times where he didn't make the trip, so I mean, like, this is a thing, but as far as like the president and Dr. Jill, they just got to know better. Like, people are already talking about how they're old and out of touch, and how he isn't fit to be president and all this kind of stuff like that. And I'm not saying that
he's older than the song Zippity Doodah.
Yeah,
I said it before I say it again.
I'm not saying
Doodah came
well,
out
he old. His middle
name
is Robinette. He's old, but but I'm not trying to say that like that has
born during World War II.
That doesn't have anything to do with his ability to lead a country either way, I guess, and it has nothing to do with sports in either way. But it's just a whole story, culminating of, I just don't understand why.
He could have legally fought in the Korean War. This is how far out of touch. Like, he was old enough to fight when we fought Korea.
Yeah, like he was a congressman longer than I was alive, longer than I've been alive to this day. So I mean, yes, but I just don't.
Man could have been a lieutenant in the Korean War.
I mean, of course, there was no WNBA, in his heyday, and that type of thing. So I mean, but to with all, because of course the word woke, has been hijacked, and it doesn't mean anything close to what it originally was intended to mean. So you would think that, like, with that reputation and the way people speak of America nowadays, you would think that something like this wouldn't happen, because, like you said, pandering or whatever that people would associate with it.
Well, things like that won't happen if your focus is on what you're actually talking about. Like you and I are talking about sports, so we spend time preparing our talking points. You do your notes that you type out and print out. I like to jot mine down like bullet format and just kind of reminders. So we're taking our time to get our information correct. So when we say something like we read verbatim, like I have a statement here I can read verbatim to get it right. But if my whole thing is like I just want to appease someone and I don't care about any of the I don't care about the fringes of it. I just want to appease these individuals. You'll just say whatever without doing any research because that's the only part you care about is shouting out the owner of this team because that dude probably did you a favor politically.
I still don't hear WNBA conversations like, they talk about the water cooler. I don't hear people having these conversations or talking about the playoff or like if somebody had like a 30-point game or whatever. Like I don't hear people have these conversations in general.
Because I think the conversation gets derailed. I was watching an episode. It was like a British TV show. British morning talk shows. They keep it 112. Like they don't hold back at all.
Piers Morgan.
You say something that doesn't add up, they go jump you right there. And I watched one. It was a panel. It was kind of it had like a view, like the view kind of set up, and it was just one. It was one man on the panel, and they were talking about women's sports. And she's like, those girls should get paid more. And like the other one chimed like, yeah, they should get paid more. They should get paid more. And he chimed in. He was like, do you guys go to the games? Like that's how they get paid. They get paid off you buying jerseys and you buying tickets. It's like you have to go. Like you can't just say they deserve more money and you don't know who the star
player. Where
does
the money come from?
Like you have to so you have this feeling. So I think when people do start talking about the WNBA, I think the conversation too quickly goes to, oh, a good skilled high school basketball team could beat a WNBA team. Like that's not the conversation. The conversation isn't about who can beat a WNBA team. It's about who's supporting the WNBA teams. And it's like, okay, well, they want more money than men. The men have these kind of TV contracts. It's like, listen, they don't want more money than like they're not going to get $40 million a year when they don't produce like billions of dollars to get paid $40 million. They just want a better cut of what the money that comes in. So if $100 million comes into the league, they want a better percentage of that. They don't want to get 5% of that 100 million divvied out against all the players. Like, yo, can we get 35% of that? Can we get more of that cut? Whatever cut that is generated by us as players, can we get more of it? That's the conversation.
And the answer to that is no.
Until you get some leverage, and that's the thing. In order to get leverage, you have to hurt the pockets. But if the owners are getting the bulk of it, then you're never going to be able to hurt their pockets. Hence why they go overseas. The only thing they can really do is legitimately strike. But if they strike, then it could collapse their entire.
Yeah, they're just done. Yeah,
and they could be done. Away. So it's like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place with a gun to their head. I mean, it's like it's almost nothing they can do but play. So at a minimum, respect them. Respect them for the play still, they do because they're at a disadvantage.
There's definitely still progress to be had, and I'm still, I guess, legitimately shocked that they're at this point. I mean, it's just like more so the NBA supplementing them, I guess, in most cases. But I'm shocked that the league has lasted as long as it has.
I think it's viable. I think they do it right. I think they have smaller. If you can't fill a 20,000 seat arena, get an 8,000 seat one. Play at a smaller one. You can get more fans.
You talking about the WNBA or the Oakland A's?
I mean, if you can get more fans in the Oakland A's, you're doing all right. At least you get on TV and say that. You get on Twitter like, well, we have more fans in the A's, and they play less games. So, but they have to. Someone has to. Like I know Mark Davis and Tom Brady are also like owners of the Las Vegas Aces. Like Dave Chappelle, the joke, he was like, ladies, you might need a few more men in the process. Like just say you might need a few more people who own teams. You might need Mark Cuban to buy into the team. You might need maybe if you can go get some of these like a couple of female billionaires like Julie Louis Dreyfus,
Mark
who's
Cuban need
on.
to learn how to run his own team.
Nah, he got people for that. Maybe somebody holler at Oprah. Maybe Oprah could donate a little money. I think one of the Kardashians. I think one of them is a billionaire. Maybe they could chime in with a little bit of money. Like you might just it just might need to be a situation where because they started with the like the way soccer players do. Like I have on a rugby jersey, you have advertisements on the front. So they were doing that before the NBA was doing it. So instead of having a team name of say like Honda or Bumble or whatever, whereas the NBA has like a little symbol that says GE Electric or
Just
whatever.
keep Antonio Brown away.
Don't associate with him at all.
Getting his team disqualified from the league
until he figures his life out. I wouldn't split a check with him, like a meal.
But besides the fact, is he still the vice president for Donda?
Listen, Kanye gonna get his Adidas money and ride off into the sunset, or he'll put out another album. Who knows?
Yeah, but I'm impressed. The WNBA, like I said, 103% rise from last year's opening night. This year's ratings have been up and the highest since 2006. So so great progress there. The WNBA draft, the previous draft drew 520,000 viewers, which is the most they've had since 2004, and that's all that information is from Front Office Sports. So there's definitely progress being made. I just
some of these other football leagues that are just collapsing every single year.
What was it? The XFL lost 60 million.
XFL lost money. The USFL,
the AFL had to close after 2 weeks because they couldn't pay anybody.
And we love football.
Yeah, but we don't like amateur football. Besides college football, college football is our semi. College football is our semi-pro. We ain't got no room for this other stuff.
Yeah, and we love football, so it's tough to run a league.
It really is. Even if you got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I wonder. The rivalry is so intense. I'm surprised Vin Diesel ain't came out with a league yet. Just to show Dwayne how it's done.
Family.
So we got family. We got moves coming up. We got the NBA draft next Thursday, so a week from tonight. And then of course free agency soon to come after that. So me and Mr. Logical was sitting around, we talk about basketball half the day anyway. So we're just like, hey, like if I was a GM, what's some deals that I would do or some people, it doesn't even have to be a deal. It could just be a free agent or whatever. But like what moves would we like to see? So what you got?
We're going to run down the list of, we're going to refer to hoopshype.com.
Yep, I'm about to pull it up right now.
Yeah, they have their top free agents available this summer. There's been a lot of talk of players that are under contract, teams on the move, so forth and so on. I think Jeff Van Gundy during the finals, when it was kind of winding down in Denver, was I think the game was imbalanced, and during one of the breaks, he was talking about how Denver's coach Mike Malone and Eric Spoelstra, 15 years for Spo, 8 years for Michael Malone. So that's 23 years between the two head coaches. And it was some years with Miami where other teams in similar situations that Miami was in got rid of the head coach. Same thing with Denver. Michael Malone, you got a 2-time MVP and you don't make it, back-to-back years to the Western, to the finals. So that's kind of situation we've seen. Like Budenholzer won a championship, got fired. Nick Nurse won a championship, still got fired. So
Monty Williams got to the finals.
Monty Williams got fired. Doc Rivers keeps your team relevant every single year, got fired. People probably would call him for Steve Kerr's job the year that Wardell only played like 17 games because of the broken hand. So there's moves that teams are going to make that are panicky, like potentially firing a good coach.
Like the Warriors. The Warriors about to make all kinds of moves probably if it happens the way I think it's going to happen.
I think the Warriors are probably going to try to move Jordan Poole.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who takes that contract on. But then they're going to try to re-sign. I think they're going to try to re-sign Draymond. I think they really believe he's the lifeblood. They're just going to give him a terrible deal.
There's rumors that Kuminga's on the move.
Which, once again, is like if you look at the blueprint set by your recent successful teams, the mercenary for hire championship team, Miami did it with LeBron. They got 2 out of 4. Golden State did it with KD. They got 2 out of 3. And they spent, each one of those guys talks about how tough that third season with KD was, like just emotionally. Like everybody was just drained. It's like, how were you drained coming off back-to-back championships where you beat arguably the greatest player of all time 8-1 in those 2 years? It's like, how were you drained when you cruised? You went 16-1 through the playoffs.
Because I think Draymond was offended that KD would even entertain leaving.
So it just was like that level of stress. So some teams are in positions where they should reset and should get the best deal they can for their best player, and then
Washington.
So I'm gonna let you chime in on that part because I'm pretty sure you have some feelings with that. But a team like Atlanta, keep Trae Young, but Portland,
why?
If you can move Dame Lillard's contract, because you have Anthony Simons, and if you want to build around a player, build around a younger version of the older guy you have. I'm not saying Dame's past his prime, but I would rather move. I don't think so. I mean, the guy just dropped 70 last season.
He about to be 33. Trade him before, like Belichick style. Trade him before a year early.
Yeah, Belichick style was also kind of, he had this safety net named Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. So you can make all kinds of moves. Like you could trade everyone away when you have LeBron. You can trade everybody and bring in Rodman.
But who does Portland even have to try to bring in somebody? Like what? Like if they called New Orleans right now, they got the number 3 pick, but you got to attach more than the number 3 pick to that deal to try to pry him away.
That's the thing. I don't understand why everyone's telling Portland to add. You got Dame Lillard. That's it. That's your piece. That's the only thing you're moving. And then a trade. Maybe some moves, you don't re-sign a player here. Maybe you release a guy or you amnesty a guy, whatever you got to do to get your books right.
Yeah.
But your only tradable piece, if I'm the GM of Portland, is Dame.
Well, I think Anthony Simons could get some interest.
No, not tradable as far as like talent wise. I'm just saying that's the only piece I'm willing to move off of, because you can't just, like, if you want to remodel your house, you don't tear it down. You tear out certain pieces.
Right.
Like, I want to make this kitchen bigger. I want to do this. You peel little things. So if you want to rebuild your team, Dame Lillard to Philly could get you Maxey, maybe Harris, and maybe a couple of picks.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be the best deal, but I think Maxey he's ready to go right now.
See, that's what I was thinking for Bradley Beal.
I think Tobias Harris is probably he's probably at that point in his career where you could bring him off the bench with the second unit, let him cook, let him be the guy, like the CJ McCollum kind of role. Like, well, you are the veteran, you run with the second unit with the whatever guy they get third overall. I think you can build your team without tearing it down completely. You can just remodel your home, and the best piece you have is Dame Lillard. It gives Dame an opportunity to go to a contender, and then you just get the best pieces you can get from that contender.
Well, he definitely doesn't help by mentioning Miami by name. And, because what is Miami supposed to give up for him? Like Tyler Hero and what?
Tyler Hero, and Max Strus,
free agent
Martin, and Duncan Robinson, or 2 picks.
And if I'm Portland, I tell you to get the F out of my office, unless I just want to do Dame a solid.
You want to do Dame a solid? Yes. I sent him to a contender. Like,
no, I get that.
Is Boston trying to really move off Jaylen Brown? Because I can move that.
I don't think so.
Damian Lillard money. I mean, if you make the right call, you can do it straight up. Like if you do a sign and trade, you're
I
like,
wouldn't
hey,
do it, but I mean, they might.
that's what I'm saying. So it's like you have opportunities because I think the contenders are willing to pay Dame's salary, and I think he's still top tier NBA player right now. It's just that Portland doesn't have the team around him, and to try to move the number 3 pick and the younger player to do what? To run into Denver in the West, to run into Phoenix in the West, to
So
run into
so
Clippers in the West.
so
Like
so
get healthy and let these every other team's old.
so if you were the GM, are Philly and Houston the only players for Harden, or is there a team that sneaks in the middle of the night and offers him some money?
Cap wise, I think Detroit is probably one of the only teams with like big free agent money because there's not that many notable free agents. Like I said, well, we got Harden at 1, Kyrie at 2,
Mm-hmm. And then it's a
Porzingis
big
3,
drop off after that.
Van Fleet, and then Chris Middleton.
Yeah, I
So
like
none of
Van
those
Vliet
guys
to
are going to
Phoenix.
command the 200. Like I don't think any one of these top 5 guys are going to be able to sit down in a meeting or send a message via their agent to any team saying, "Hey, my guy wants to come there because the new team can sign you to a 4-year deal.
Yeah,
My guy wants to come there 4 years, 180 to 200 million dollars." None of those 5 guys can
yeah.
can can go to another team. I think they can probably exercise some kind of leverage piece with their current teams and do like a 3-year whatever deal, 45 million and get something. But Chris Middleton can't call up Detroit like, yo, I want 4 years, $200 million. Just it's not gonna happen. So with Harden, Houston loves him. Philly likes him.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like, do you go back to your old girlfriend or do you stay with your current one?
You
Like
stay with the
that's the boat that he's
MVP.
in.
You stay with the MVP. That's what you do.
Maybe the MVP isn't that much fun to play with.
We'll see. But I heard his name. It was the weirdest thing. I was trying to get some ideas. I was looking around and I saw that the Knicks might be interested in Embiid.
Why would Philly give and be? I give it sounds like a slave
I mean, I
trade.
know what you mean, but
Like
yeah,
why
yeah,
would
yeah.
they trade? Like I think that might have been one of those articles where like you just want to mention a big name team and hope.
Yeah, just to
I
get
don't
some
know how
clicks or
to.
something. I don't
I
know.
don't know how the Knicks have not
So,
successfully landed a big fish.
so I was thinking about
My whole
Kaminga.
adult life, they haven't got one.
So I was thinking about Kaminga, and I think that maybe if I was Mark Cuban, I'd kick the tires on Kaminga. Like
Kyrie for Kaminga sign and trade,
no,
like in
no,
that
no, no,
package.
no, 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 no. But just like maybe Hardaway and like something else, but the money probably won't match. But he averaged 10, 3, and 2 in 21 minutes. You know what I mean? And then Steve Kerr just decided like, I'm not gonna play you anymore. Like even though like
I don't think it was a decision. That's the thing. Like you got to put something on film to make the next team want you.
mhm.
He's gotten 2 years there, and it's like Nick Wright. I'll credit Nick Wright with this. He was like, I have nothing against Kaminga as a talented basketball player, but it's like he didn't make the leap from year 1 to year 2 that you expect to see from a guy if we are going to talk about him a lot. Like if I'm going to talk about you being if I'm going to argue that I think you should be in a starting lineup, then I should be able to reference your rookie numbers that were good and then your second year numbers that are markedly better.
But
He doesn't have
we
that.
also know that roles are a thing as well. Like when you're on a team with Steph shooting 9 or 10 threes a game, Clay shooting 9 or 10 threes a game, Jordan Poole coming, like there's just not enough shots and all that to go around in that way.
Well, think about it this way. If I got 30 plus year old Steph, 30 plus year old Clay coming off of 2 lower, like knee and down injuries on one on each leg, and I got Draymond, who is
And
not
you
an
gave
offensive
Jordan
threat,
Poole all that money.
and you gave Jordan Poole a lot of money. So when I run the second unit, I, as a coach, should be able to look at you, Jonathan Kaminga, and say, hey, I'm going to put Steph and Clay on the bench for their second quarter rest. You need to get up and defend and hit open shots with the second unit. So either he wasn't a good defensive player or he wasn't showing enough, like I said, that growth, like because they see it in practice.
No, I
If you
know,
had
but everybody's not the
he
same
had
though.
to
Like,
yeah,
we
he
talk
had to be
about this.
not well, Mikal Bridges got his shine because he was able to take a bunch of shots.
Well,
But
we
he
talk
was
about this
also
with
a
the
primary the
NFL.
ball. He was on the defender. He
But
was a good defender.
we used to talk about this with the NFL. Like Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco just messed it up for everybody because they came in, made the playoffs year one, looked good doing it. So then you had this expectation that this is how quarterbacks are supposed to come into the NFL.
No,
Like
not that. Like I should see an improvement of your whatever you gave me year one. I, as a coach and a staff, should see an improvement of what you did. I don't want you to now be as good as Jordan Poole because Jordan Poole got hot and Steph Curry is still playing at a high level. I don't need you at 20 points. I just need your 7.5 points to go to 12.5. Your rebounds go from 3 to 6.5. Like I need you to make that incremental climb, and that comes with like being prepared. That comes with like taking time. So the fact that they didn't play him much in the playoffs makes it look like I don't know what trade value you have.
Yeah, I was going to say they hurt his value, if anything.
They hurt his value. So it's like you're going to either have to keep him. I think more NBA teams should go younger while they have veterans and do the shift because I know they want to be younger, but you're going to have to like make the decision is the tough decision. Like, hey, Draymond, you're catalyst to our 6, Western Conference Finals victories and our 4 rings. But you are literally we're playing 4-on-5.
The Empire is falling.
On offense.
They're done. They're done here.
I don't think and you done. You're saying done like
done it. Well, no, done as far as winning championships. Yeah,
it ends.
I don't mean I don't mean it disrespectfully. Yeah. I just mean it as my opinion. You know what I mean? Is that they are done winning championships, and
with that group, and at some point, a year older.
Yeah, at some point it ends. Steph is about to be 36. Clay, like you said, you mentioned the knee injuries and everything. Draymond was probably finished as far as an offensive threat 2 years ago.
Like it makes no sense. He went 32 at like 15.
So Draymond so if I was GM, Draymond would be coming home to Detroit.
Draymond will probably end up somewhere where he can market himself.
Yeah,
he's going to New York or he's going to LA.
Yeah, he's going to LA.
Somewhere where I would think LA.
Where he can keep his
podcast going. Because his network that he's on, I bet, is owned by Colin Cowherd, who's based out of LA for his show.
Right.
And he defended Draymond to no end. Like Draymond, like him and Nick Wright were going back and forth. And he was like, no. He was like, I get it. Yeah, you guys are in a business partnership and he want to support him, but he is a liability offensively.
Yes.
Great intensity.
Doesn't take away from what he meant to that team. It doesn't take away because I mean he prolonged. Don't you try to twist my words. He prolonged Steph's career.
Absolutely.
He took a lot of dribbles away from Steph, a lot of the setting up the offense and initiating away from Steph, so that Steph could be the shooter
Rip
that
Hamilton,
we know him to be.
Yeah, the new Rip Hamilton.
Yeah. So, but if I were GM, Draymond would be going home to Detroit, taking more of that mentorship role because, he still plays good defense, but even that's going to slow down pretty soon, I would assume.
Because every team, all the teams going to come up with younger. De'Aaron Fox, yes, eventually he's going to slow down, but I don't think that happens October 2023. He's still going to be fast. Sabonis is still going to be big. Phoenix has KD, so they got very old when they made that trade.
You ready to see my growth? I got some growth for you.
You got some growth? Let's hear it.
Some combination of Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, maybe a pick or two for Bradley Beal.
So you want RJ Barrett?
No, I didn't say I want them. I'm just saying that, just from the standpoint of resetting, guaranteeing that you're not going to mess up things by winning 45 games or whatever. Because Kuzma's a free agent, Porzingis is a free agent. Let them walk.
I think they're gonna keep Kuzma. Nah. You got it. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you trying to tear down the whole house.
Yes, because okay, so like I always talk.
But you can't rebuild it with R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle.
I always talk about this. You know, the Atlanta Hawks. You know, back with Joe Johnson. You know, before they did the whole like 4 All-Star on the same team thing. You know, they were like 44-38, 42-40. They were the 8th seed. You know, getting beat by Boston every year and all this stuff. And so they would end up with like the 19th pick in the draft, or you know they got hot with the 4 All-Stars, made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and got swept. You know, with no Kevin Love. You know, so it's like you can't be that. Like if you hold on to Kuzma and bring somebody else in of the standpoint of let's just try to keep a playoff team out there or whatever the case may be, all you're doing is setting it back anyway because you're not going to ever get a high enough draft pick to change your franchise. You know what I mean? You're also never going to win the title either.
Are you looking for?
Yes, because right now nobody's coming to Washington. You know what I mean? Like there's no Kevin Durant was from there, from PG County, and he didn't come there. Like nobody comes to Washington.
But no one goes to the Knicks either. So it's just like you have to set your team up to where you gotta build your team to where.
But see, the Knicks,
a new piece, a Bradley Beal.
The Knicks don't need to win a championship.
That puts you over the hump.
The Knicks don't need to win a championship. The Knicks just need to be the Chicago Cubs. You know what I mean? Like just get to the playoffs. You know,
win.
Those fans will come to MSG to hear that organ and get their heart broken every year. You know what I mean? Just to have a relevant team. Like I'm sure there's Knicks fans out there that would love to win a championship. They haven't won since '72 or something like that. So I'm sure there would
Willis Reed,
yeah. So I'm sure there's Knicks fans that would absolutely give their lives to win a championship.
The Knicks fans are gonna be at Madison Square Garden
regardless.
That's
Tuesday what I'm saying.
Night, Friday night, Sunday
Whereas
night.
a team
Christmas.
like Washington, a team like Atlanta, because you mentioned don't trade Trae Young. You know, why not? Like what is your ceiling with the Hawks as is? You've been trying to trade John Collins for the last 2 or 3 years. You know, like
that's the problem. Is like when LeBron went to LA and then told management I want AD, and then they got out that he was like Josh Hart, Julius Randle, BI, Lonzo Ball can all go to New Orleans. I just want AD. And the trade didn't go through. The rest of their season was terrible. And then unfortunately, LeBron like injured his groin. And then those guys just finished up the season. They made the trade. It was real awkward. I think the New Orleans coach got fired. But that's the difference. They traded 4 pieces for a guy who was arguably top 5 or 6 in the league. You're trying to trade Bradley Beal for 2 guys that can't give you what Bradley Beal gives you consistently.
Because you're not trying to win. You're not trying to win a title. You're not trying to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Then send Bradley Beal to a team where you can get your Josh Hart, not just, but like you can get get your 4 young guy deal. You can send them to
Portland if you want to keep Dame.
If you want to keep Dame, but if you're at that point, you're apples and apples.
Send them to Golden State.
Golden State, if Golden State's rolling apart, Poole, Kuminga, and
maybe a pick,
maybe
Moody, maybe
2028 first, 2029 first, 2030
and then Golden State is going all in for another year or 2.
Another year 3. With Bradley Beal, Jordan Poole, Kuminga are in Washington with these picks coming up. Maybe Washington package those picks.
If I were GM,
you're gonna have to do that. Like you're gonna have to trade. If you're gonna trade Bradley Beal, and that way you can keep Kuzma.
My name is 25, and I approve this message. And then you got something else that I was thinking about, Carl with a K. You know, like it might be time to get him out of Minnesota. So I was thinking either, I know I keep picking on the Knicks. I was thinking send him to the Knicks for quickly, you know, Fournier, some picks and some other people just to get some depth, or call Toronto and see what's up with Siakam. and put Siakam next to Gobert, get Cat up out of there, and you know what I mean, and you just go from there. Like Anthony Edwards, it becomes like it already is his team, but with Cat there, he was the original guard. Like not point. You know what I mean? He was the original. This is his team, and Anthony Edwards came in and was like, "Nah, this is my player." So now Cat got to go. The town ain't big enough for the both of us.
Yeah, and that's one of those. That's why I'll push back and say no.
Because
I won't do it.
Well, the problem is they brought in Gobert. That's the problem. Like if they never brought in Gobert, then yeah, you got both of them and you could do something. But with Gobert there, I just don't think it works.
I don't think it's like I don't understand the problem with a team that has a young guard that is fearless, a 7-footer who won the 3-point shooting contest, and then another 7-footer that defends the rim.
Go look at the playoff tape and you'll find your answer.
Well, that's the thing. You have to create your advantages with the
even
team
before Anthony Edwards. Go look at those playoffs that this man has played in.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert they say he gets picked on.
Well, I was talking about Cat.
Well, Rudy Gobert, Cat, you have to understand, like you have to manage your expectations as a team. 20 teams in the NBA make the playoffs. So 66% of the league is in the playoffs. So you have to temper your expectations like, oh, we made the playoffs last year. Yeah. 19 other teams made it as well. So calm down.
Yeah, you temper it until Anthony Edwards walks out the door.
He's not going to walk because his first deal is going to be $220 million.
Okay, he'll sign a deal for $220 million, and then a year and a half or 2 years later, he's going to ask out.
Well, then he can ask. You can shit in one hand and ask the other one. That's when fills up.
Oh,
first.
You know the NBA
Go out there and play.
You know these teams always cave.
But that's the problem because everybody caves and nobody's successful. We talk about this all the time. It's starting to become like a theme of mine. It's like I have not seen a team tear down their team and then all of a sudden turn it around, because during the tear down you create this expectation and you create a timeline, like an unreasonable timeline for your turnaround.
Give it 2 years and then we'll talk about OKC.
There we go. Give it 2 years. Now, so this year OKC had a nice little run. They almost made the play-in. And then the last couple of games,
well, they did make the play-in.
Okay, yeah. So they were going to be a very, 8 or 7 or 8 seed.
Right.
So now you have an expectation. Chad Holmgren comes in. And what if it doesn't work and they go 41-41 again this year? They're not going to give it time to grow because this year they're going into the season with expectations that are above the talent that they have on the team.
But what is that expectation? It's not that they're going to be a top
guarantee that
seed.
Well, you would think you wouldn't, but you got a first-team All-NBA guy. You got Josh Giddey, a 6'8" point guard. You got these energy guys off the bench, the 2 guys with the same name, the 2 Williams guys. We'll call them the Williams brothers. And then you're bringing in a 7'2" guy that can shoot the 3 and handle the ball. We got everything we need. Yeah, but you still got to play all these other teams in the West that are bigger than all of you.
You got to get that experience.
And then so right now, if you talk to an Oklahoma City fan and they said to you, yo, we're going to go 50-32 next year. If that's the expectation, 50-32 gets you about 4th in the West, 3rd or 4th. Do you think, as a person who watches sport, do you think they're going to go 50-32?
No.
Now, if you're the GM and if the GM thinks they're going to go 50-32 and they start off the season and they're 11-16 after 27 games, somebody's gone because they roll into the season with these expectations. NBA teams do this every single year. You don't go from worst to first in the NBA. It's not like football where you can just get the right defensive tackle, the right corner, the right quarterback and the right coach, and you are now Jacksonville and you're in the playoffs coming back from 27-point deficits. That happens in NFL because the impact of these individual players as a team is just better. In the NBA, you have to have that guy, and that guy has to deliver every single night, and it doesn't happen. So what happens? The teams tear it down and they put new guys in there. And then when it doesn't happen with the new guys, they get rid of the coach. And then they get a new coach in. And then
Except
the
for the
guys that are
Clippers.
there don't like the coach. They get rid of that guy. So Trae Young didn't like the last coach. And he probably sour on Quinn Snyder as the current coach. They're gonna get rid of Trae Young and say, DeJounte Murray, you take us home.
I just
DeJounte
don't
Murray's
see.
gonna be like,
I just don't
this is
see.
terrible. I'm out of here.
So like, I don't see. I had told you before, I don't like the fit between those two, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. I just don't like the fit, and Trae is like 5'2", and 120 pounds.
Very
So,
durable. Doesn't miss
no,
games.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying as far as he ain't lead nobody to no title or he ain't lead nobody to the promised land. So, like, why not? Like, you can get something for him to
Was
make your
Isaiah
team better.
Thomas a good defender?
Which one?
Either one of them. Either one.
Well,
Was AI a good defender?
No.
Was Chris Paul? Is Chris Paul a good defender?
He was
He led
a
the
good
league
defender.
in steals. He led the league in steals a lot.
He was a good
mainly
defender.
just playing good passing lanes because he's just smart. Not a good defender. He could defend Kevin Durant for some reason, but for the most part, like Patrick Beverly says, he's a traffic cone.
He could probably
Patrick
guard
Beverly
Bam.
says he's, so like this expectation that point guards under 6'2" are going to be your staunch defenders it's irrelevant and irrational because
no, but the league has changed. But the league has changed.
But they're guarding guys that.
But the league has changed to the point that
good defense isn't the reason Steph Curry misses his 3-point shots when he does a step back and he has 4 feet of space. It's not the defense. Defense doesn't. The Trae Young's defense on Steph Curry, his defense on him is not the reason Steph is going to go off. Because the way he shoots. So these 6'1" point guards that don't defend well and they're out on guys on the perimeter, it's a crapshoot if the shot's going to go in. I need my guys like Jason Tatum who are guarding guys like Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's not a big 3-point shooting guy. If you're guarding George, if you're guarding Jimmy Butler, like the way Jamal Murray was getting brutalized by Jimmy Butler because Miami plays that way. But if Jamal Murray was playing Gabe Vincent and that was the matchup, and somebody else was guarding Jimmy Butler, Jamal Murray wouldn't look that bad defensively. So if you put Trae Young out on Gabe Vincent, and they're just 2 6'1" guys that are just shooting jumpers. So it's not like you need, like you said, that the Young Murray combination, because now one of them is going to have to defend a wing player. Less likely, I wouldn't put the smaller guy on the best.
And DeAndre Hunter is supposed to be that guy, but it just hasn't panned out that way.
And that's the thing. You have to tailor your team to that. Like, listen, these 2 guys are defensive liabilities, but they're offensive threats. Can I instill a scheme where when you switch here or you never switch, or I get another guy that just all you does is come off the bench and play defense with the second unit. So then if we're getting killed defensively, I'll pull one of my scorers out, put this guy in. Trae Young, you're the scorer right now. You and John Collins. And, so it's like you have to be willing to let make the scheme work.
Cleveland's in that same boat, too, with Garland and Mitchell.
I just don't, in the NBA, I don't think you have, I think you can have an embarrassment of riches and work out. Like we talked about DeAndre Hopkins trying to get like a third wide receiver in Baltimore. Like that's too much. The ball can't get around. But in NBA, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Harrison Barnes, Barbosa, Livingston, all those guys, all Draymond back in the day, they all shot the 3 well. They all got a lot of opportunities. Mainly Steph and Klay getting opportunities. So you just have to tailor your style to your players.
So what's GM Logical doing? I laid out a couple of things. What was GM
Logical doing? What am I doing? All right. So if I'm in New Orleans, I am shopping Zion.
Yes, I am too. I agree.
I'm shopping Zion.
And I might even shop BI.
I'm keeping BI the same way I said I would keep Kuzma because I need somebody here that is like ready to step up and take that moment when I get, because if you get rid of Bill in Washington, you need Kuzma there for whoever you bring in to be like, yo, this is how we operate here.
I think the thought is, and this is just me,
Zion, I'm moving.
I think this is me speculating. But I think BI is what BI is. Like, I don't know if he's getting any better, or if he's topped out at this point. Whereas I think a lot of people still think that Zion can be a dominant force within the league.
Like I said, I've never been big on Zion because I see so many players that are ready to go every year and they just happen to get hurt. But they're ready to go. They come back. Even people give AD a lot of grief, but AD comes back and he's ready to play. It just, he hurt the groin in the playoffs a couple years ago. The guys are ready to come back. I think that's a knock on Paul George. That's a knock on Kawhi Leonard. But if I'm LA, the Clippers, I'm trying to get a headliner. Can I move Paul George? Can I move a couple of pieces and get Zion to LA? I got a new stadium. I'm about to lose Kawhi because Kawhi's either going to retire.
So replace the injured dudes with more injured dudes.
Well, I mean, you need somebody for the marquee, and maybe the food in LA because most of it's like soy and vegan and organic. Maybe he gets away from that etouffee and that gator and the shrimp and all the stuff, all the Papados style food. And maybe he gets out to LA, he discovers kale and spinach isn't that bad. And he drops, 25 pounds and he plays at 245 versus 270. So you have to have hope because he's young. But I would shop him realistically.
So the word on the street. So the word on the street is
he's done anything for the team.
So the word on the street is that New Orleans wants Scoot Henderson. So, let's just say they deal with Charlotte, the number 2 pick. What are they taking back from Charlotte besides that number 2 pick that makes it worth it?
Charlotte. So Charlotte, let's see. Jordan is known for making bad deals.
Because you ain't giving up LaMelo, I would think.
You never know. Maybe LeVar goes into the office and says, "Get my boy out of here." I mean, crazy things have happened.
And let's play 1-on-1.
So, let's see. I mean, Gordon Hayward, no. I don't know if that.
You don't want Rozier.
I mean,
PJ Washington's a restricted free agent. Miles Bridges, maybe.
And he in jail?
No. I think they dismissed it.
I don't think he's on a roster.
But they own his rights. Like, he was a free agent, but they own like his bird rights and all that stuff.
So Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, the 20, and then you swap picks.
Yeah, 2 and 14.
Yeah, so we get.
And I know they just drafted
Mark we get Zion in 14. Yeah, so we get Zion and the number 14 pick. You get Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, and the number 2 pick.
All right. So then let's just say Charlotte says no or whatever. It just doesn't work out. And now Brandon Miller goes number 2. So now Portland is on the table at number 3. So what are you taking from Portland?
Portland. Let's see.
Because Thibauld's a free agent. Grant's a free agent.
All right, so let's see.
So that's where Simons comes into play if you're keeping Dame.
If you're going to keep Dame, then
got nothing.
I mean, you can sell him potential. Sharp, Grant, and the number 3 pick for Zion.
See, I don't think you're giving up Sharp.
You got Anthony Simons.
Yeah, you might. Well, I mean, for Zion, you might have to give up both.
Yeah, you might have to give up a power forward. I mean, you just literally might have to make the move. Like I said, I'm not big on Zion, and I really like Dame, and I don't want him to get a guy who just isn't ready to play. And we talked about get off my chest and decision making.
Right.
But I'm taking calls on Zion. And that's the thing. We talked about this. Like I said, we talked a little bit in the pre-meeting. certain teams are just going to sit pretty because there's no really good move. There's good players that could on the move. VanVleet's a good player on the move. Kuzma could
Yeah, I
potentially be
like
on the move.
VanVleet to Phoenix.
You
I don't know.
have
I got to look at the cap, but I think
yeah,
that would be a good move.
Chris Middleton if he doesn't re-sign with
Milwaukee.
Those are all good players. The problem is they're all getting paid a lot right now and
Mm-hmm.
opting out of their contracts. In my estimation, is the expectation that I'm going to then get a bigger contract and a better contract than I currently have. So you got a guy like Chris Middleton. Yeah, he gave you 15, 4, and 5,
I can't imagine him leaving though.
but he's getting 37 million.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I don't
can't
even know
imagine
if
him leaving though.
Milwaukee would give that money back to him. You got Grant in Portland. He's getting 21 million or 20.9 million.
Yep, free agent. Yep.
Free agent. So it's like, where can he go? Because like I said, they're gonna want more money. And a lot of these players are good. I don't want to say role players with a negative connotation, but they are good role players essentially for contenders. So if you can fit Porzingis and the Clippers lineup with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, if you can slide him in, if you can make that fit, but the money won't work because he's getting 33 million.
Yeah, I was going to say
he's going to want 35 to 38 at least.
Maybe that's a sign and trade.
Okay, then you have
bring Russ back, bring Bones Highland and Eric Gordon maybe, or Norman Powell, one of the two.
And then if that's the case, Washington's probably going to want to squeeze as much blood as soon as they can because then they're going to probably keep Beal and Kuzma and say, hey, maybe we can make a run in the East. Miami was an 8 seed last year. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
So, like Fred VanVleet, he's the type of he would be. I think he'd be good in Dallas if Kyrie moved on. Just that
he could be that new Brunson.
The new Brunson. They saw what they lost with Brunson but I don't think VanVleet commands the ball that much. I think he's a decision maker with the ball. Luka's gonna have to give the ball up before 14 seconds in the shot clock every once in a while. Like he can't just dribble the air out of the ball. He's gonna have to trust these other guys, but is there cap money to make that move? Because like I said, a few teams have that cap money, but most of those teams are always drafting.
Could Dallas go after Draymond?
No, I don't think anybody can really would go after Draymond because I don't know what he gives you. I don't know what he gives.
Could Dallas go after Middleton?
I can see that, but you would have to give him Kyrie money, unless if we're working on the assumption that every one of these guys wants to make just 5% more than what they're making. No, we'll say 10% more. Like at least if they want 10% more, you're still paying VanVleet 23 million. You're paying Middleton 40 million. Like even if they're like their low number, like, hey, you know what? I'll take a 10% pay increase. It's still 40 million. So how you can't make that work? So it's a lot of Robins, not a lot of Batmans in this free agent pool. Vucevic in Chicago is getting 22 million.
Yeah, and I forgot, I don't know how severe the injury is, but I forgot that Boston is getting Gallinari back.
Yeah, Gallinari's been in the league since LeBron had his
original but I mean, he's a 43% three-point shooter, averaging 15 points last time he played. So, you know what I mean? It won't hurt.
Yeah, older guy coming off an injury. I mean, what do you get? It's like it's a
young it's not league. Like his game is predicated on athleticism.
But it's a young league. The league is young. Like these teams that trade away their franchise for these older players, it hasn't worked out. It literally has.
Still got to figure out where Chris Paul ends up.
Chris Paul just might be the full-time president of the NBA because I don't know where you put him. I don't know where you get like the money. Like the money is the key, and I think these players are probably excited with the fact that they're going to get paid. But right now, your top 10 guys has Brook Lopez at 9 as a top free agent, and Kuzma's at 10, and you're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So it's like these guys are ranked as the top 10 free agents. Multiple of these guys is like James Harden.
if you're going
James
to keep
Harden has 2 teams that potentially want him.
if you're going to keep
He's a number
Kuzma,
one free agent, and he's only 2 teams that want him. How
so
are you the
check
number
this
one
out.
free agent when only 2 teams want you?
But check this out. If you're Kuzma and Washington keeps him and he's the best player on the team and averages 25, 26 points, you're still doing what I said do anyway.
Yeah, but the difference is he got 13 million last year. So
Yeah, he
him
wants
staying
more
and
than that.
getting him staying, he could probably negotiate if they can move Beal. He might be able to negotiate $35 or $40 million a year if they can move Beal and get some pieces that aren't going to get that kind of money. So if you can get Bradley Beal to Portland and you get them agree and you get Anthony Simons and Shaden Sharp and Grant, I think Grant's a free agent.
Yeah.
So if you get you get some of those guys. Rich Paul is his agent. Rich Paul is Draymond's agent. Who else does Rich Paul? Rich Paul represents Van Fleet. Who else does he represent?
Well, that's why I'm interested, because like anybody from 2 to 6, maybe 7 in the draft next week could be trying to make a trade.
You said from 2. I think the teams that are drafted in the top 4 or 5, it would just be wise for them to get the best player on the board.
Well, Orlando has 2 picks. They're 6 and 11.
6 and 11, but by 6 and 11,
you could trade up to 3 with that.
Orlando can trade 6 and 11 and Jalen Suggs to Washington for Bradley Beal. People say that looks crazy, but it's like, who are you going to get at 6? Who are you going to get at 11?
Right.
You know what you're going to get out of Bradley Beal.
Right.
You're going to get buckets.
And then you got the Pacers at 7. So, they could trade out, I don't know. I know they've been trying to get rid of Miles Turner the same way Atlanta's been trying to get rid of John Collins. There's been rumors that, Buddy Hield, they were trying to move him a couple of times last year.
They were trying to remember that conversation everybody was having, Russell Westbrook and those 2 picks of Buddy Hield and
Miles Turner. Yeah. It was just talk.
It was just talk. I would have kind of liked to see it because everyone's talking about all these. Whatever. Because everyone's talking about the Pelinka deals and Pelinka did this. It's like, yeah, Rui played a little bit. He gave you 1 or 2 good games in the playoffs, and he defended Jokic well. And that's
Beasley wasn't playable.
Beasley didn't play.
D'Angelo played but didn't play.
D'Angelo just was out there point shaving.
Like he was just happy to play against the Warriors, and then outside of that, he didn't care no more.
I think maybe that was his motivations, his extra. But I think he played well against Memphis.
But where does he end up? He's a free agent, like you got to.
Yeah, he made $33 million last year.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting that again.
He's not getting that again.
But I don't know where he ends up. Like
everybody that's available, every player that's available that we've discussed is for lack of a better word, a role player.
And if I was a GM
guy,
and if I was GM for a day,
Batman.
If I was GM for a day, I'd be finding a new home for Zach LaVine too.
He's a talent. I know he gets bit by the injury bug.
Well, speaking of injuries, Beal, he's been in the league 11 seasons and he's got 5 or 6 seasons of 60 games or more.
Is it the analytics of the injury reports and all this other stuff that keeps these guys out?
Or Beal is injury
prone. Did they
prone.
see
he I don't think he ever really gets serious. I mean, I don't know. Maybe according to the school of Dr. Logical, he gets some soft tissue injuries and whatnot.
Oh,
but,
that's my move. That's my move.
You know what I mean? But
I said that in a conversation this week and chuckled.
No, but he gets a lot of ankles, stuff like that. He doesn't get obviously ACLs and stuff like that. But he just
I think some of these guys, I think they miss games because they're getting paid. A lot of these guys are getting paid a lot of money. The NBA players are getting paid like left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's gonna be hard to if I'm a GM, it's hard for me to go after any of these guys in the top 10 unless each one of them is willing to take less than
Well,
$20 million.
if you feel like you're a contender already, and I'm looking at my hoops hype list here, you know,
Okay, where we at?
so if you think that you're a contender, you know, and you're like maybe you just need some role players, like you're the Lakers or somebody like that. Like I don't want to talk about them specifically, but just in general, like you think you're a team that's on the cusp.
I
You just
think
need
the
some role
Lakers
players.
they are a team that could use one of these like they need a Fred VanVleet kind of guy or a Brooke Lopez kind of player.
Well,
Miami, another team too.
Well, I was going to bring up somebody like, say, Jordan Clarkson to get you some pop off the bench, or I like Cam Johnson. One of the notes that I had was Cam Johnson to Houston. You know, instead of James Harden, I think Cam Johnson would be a good move because he's still young enough to fit where they are, but you know he'll be one of the better players on the team. I was also looking at what does Bruce Brown do? You know, now that he's got his championship, maybe he goes and tries to get paid. But I was looking at Matisse Thybulle. He was one of the names that I was looking at as far as if you think you're a contender, you don't need him to come in there because like Milwaukee, right? They went out and got Jay Crowder,
Yeah,
and
didn't play him.
yeah, I don't even know why anybody ever picks up Jay Crowder. He's like the worst player in the NBA with a good reputation. And so like Thibault could be the guy that replaces him, you know, for example, a younger version, scrappy, you know, Jay Crowder, they say that he's a good shooter, but I don't think I've ever seen him hit a shot, you know, just like Cam Reddish, you know, the shooter that can't shoot, you know,
Can't shoot
shout
at
out to
all.
Ray Jean, you know, Max Strus is out there. You know, Gabe Vincent is out there. You know, maybe Miami brings them back, but probably not if you end up with Dame or Beal
We
or
ain't talking
something.
about my boy Dylan Brooks. He's out there, but he's
I was
ranked at a
about to go there.
24.
He was
My
on this.
bad.
He was on this list that I was about to go through. You know, so like somebody like Dylan Brooks, I could see in Houston. You know, if they don't end up with Harden, I could see him going there and Udoka providing that defensive identity because according to y'all, he's a good defender. You know, I mean, I don't think he's that good of a defender, but I mean, I guess he's
Like
okay.
what I think about his defensive, I think I think he's just like a
He's
big
just a
thick
pest.
body. He's a pest, but he's a thick like he's a pest, but he's bigger than Marcus Smart.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have to take the charge. He can just be there. Like I mean, he's like 6'7". He's a big dude.
I want to
He
see.
acts. He puts on like a show sometimes.
I want to see if somebody goes after Kobe White as well from Chicago, like because they got a decision to make because he's a free agent along with I can never say his name, Dosamu. You know, they're both free agents, so one probably has to go. Maybe you keep Kobe White, especially if you're going to try to move Levine because Kobe White has the scoring potential. But you know, if you're somebody like a contender that I'm trying to think of a team, but you know, but just Philly, you know, like if Harden leaves, you know, you bring in somebody like that. Maybe he runs the second unit, and you got your pop coming off the bench.
Yeah, being an NBA GM is tough because you have guys like for instance, Malik Beasley right now. I just scrolled through. He's number 35. He made 15 million last year and he's unplayable in the playoffs.
Uh huh.
But his stats say he's playable.
And it could have been. I mean,
13.4
it could have been
points, three
fit.
rebounds.
It could have been fit.
But he shoots 39.6% from two
Mm-hmm.
or from the floor. So like that's a problem. Lonnie Walker
So did
got
Allen
6
Iverson,
million.
and everybody loves him.
Allen shot like 42% from the floor. But he also got 40 shots, so he was going to still get you points,
Yeah,
and he's going to stretch your defense out.
yeah,
Like I said, a lot of the guys are getting reasonable money, but I think some of them are. This is like their first, real opportunity to land a big contract. So you got a guy like Kuzma. I don't think he's going to take that. I want to be on a contender check yet.
right, right,
I don't
right.
think he's in that. I don't think he's ready. I think a lot of these guys are very young. like Mason Plumlee is on here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll take that. I want to be on a contender check. And Brooke Lopez will take that, and Jakob Poeltl will take that. But those guys know that their
is
roles.
Move to the other locker room. Stay at Staples and move to the other locker room.
You know, you got a guy like Vucevic who's getting $22 million.
Bucci Mane.
Like, I don't want to go.
I imagine Chicago's not going to bring
$134 million in his career.
I imagine Chicago's not bringing him back.
No, not at all.
But I don't know what the market is. Like, you know.
I think Jeremy Grant is.
He's the new Jeff Green.
He's shooting 48% from the floor, 40% from three. So, I mean,
remember he had that 1 year in Denver, and then Portland overpaid for him.
Detroit overpaid for him.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Detroit overpaid for him.
And Detroit overpaid for everybody, as we saw the deal they just gave to the coach.
Yeah.
So one of these guys, one of these top 7 or 8 guys, they're going to end up in Detroit with a big deal.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I could think of is that, like, the top 2 guys, Harden and Kyrie, I don't know how they're top 2, considering that they realistically only have total 4, maybe 5 teams that are vying for their services between the 2 of them. I don't know how you're the top free agent.
Yeah. And as the word on the street is that Houston might go after Kyrie if the Harden thing falls through, you know. So it's all about
Green.
It's all about buyers and sellers, and apparently Oakland would like to sell. So reverse boycott, you know, I was scratching my head because I never even heard this term before, or this, you know, so I was trying to figure out what it meant. And then I saw people throwing trash on the field. So
this is what I thought until I talked to you. When I first read it, I thought they were saying, because they were having issues, that there's an issue with, you know, potentially Oakland going to Vegas because, like I said, somebody didn't get their briefcase and the park bench with the little money in, so somebody got to get signed off. So when it said sell the team, when it said reverse boycott, I thought the Oakland fans were saying, nah, don't stay here, go to Vegas.
Go to Vegas, yeah.
So because I never heard the term reverse boycott. I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, what? So that's what I originally thought they were saying. Like, no, go ahead. Go to Vegas. We don't need you. Like, I was like, so why would you buy tickets to go say that? But now that I think about it, and like I said, through education from you, I see the difference.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a little personal story real quick. So my son is on my car insurance, right? So he bought a little beater to get back and forth to work. In between his Marine, because he's Marine reservist, he's gonna go active duty, but now he has a blue collar job. He goes back and forth. Got an fender bender coming back from drill in April. All right, didn't drive the car much. He had some time off work, and then he went to drive it, and like the lug nuts fell off. So like he had some damage, like more damage than he thought from his fender bender. So USA, shout out to USA, send the car in to the mechanic. The mechanic totals it. They give him, they cut him a check for the car. So he uses it to make a down payment on another car. So the Oakland fans want the team. They want to sell the team, and they showed up. So, but they don't have the leverage. So my son, he's in the same boat. So he was like, I want this car. So he went and bought a Mustang. 20 years old, and he bought a Mustang with the down payment through Carvana. They're going to deliver it to the little vending machine. He's going to hit the button. It's going to spin around. I'm like, son, you don't have that kind of leverage. Like, I get you want this car, but you don't have enough going on to where you can make I want decisions. You got to make I need decisions. I need this. The Oakland A's fans is like, you want the team to stay. Cool. You should have been coming to the stadium all those years. You should have been demanding that the city fix the stadium so you're not walking through pipes dripping on you. Like, yeah, I'm paying X amount of money for this beer, X amount of money for these tickets, these hats, and everything else. They should have had a boycott of the stadium every single time a plan was presented and it was rejected. That's what you should have been boycotting.
Ever since Bo Jackson got hurt.
Yo, it's like, you can't try to get your woman back when she's packing her bags into the trunk.
Woman's fed up.
The trunk's open, the Uber's there, The Uber is helping her put her bags in the trunk. You can't be out there with roses and candy. Then it's too late. You could do all the stuff. You could decorate the house with lights and bells and candles and puppies. She's gone. Hey, Oakland, that team's gone. Vegas is away. Vegas is going to provide them a better stadium that's going to be brand new, $1 billion in the middle of the city. Mm-hmm. It's going to feed 30,000 people, which you barely went to because you guys were only 8,000 people per game on average. So that's 4 games worth. So Oakland fans, I feel bad that you're losing something, but it's been like that for years. Like your team was on the way out for years, and this reverse boycott is creative. It's the first time I've ever heard it in almost 42 years on Earth, but I just don't see how it works because there's no leverage. There's no leverage for you as fans. There's no benefit to the owner selling the team before he goes to the new stadium in a new city that's just won 2 championships. 2, Joe Biden, 2 major championships in the last 12 months.
So, quick question. If you had to guess, how many World Series has Oakland won?
4?
They've won 9. And 15 pennants. But back in the 70s, so obviously this is way before this current owner, John Fisher of Gap fame. His parents were of Gap fame. They were repeat champions in 1973-74. And Sports Illustrated did an article about why is such a great team playing in an empty stadium. So this predates that owner because everybody's
50 years ago.
Yeah, because everybody's telling him, sell the team. It's his fault. They just made the playoffs 2018 through 2020.
They made a movie about the team.
Yeah, then they tore it down. So
this won awards.
So this is what I found interesting. So on yesterday, and by the way, Oakland coming into tonight had a major league leading 7-game win streak that brought their record to 19-51. I'm about to look at the scores real quick. They lost today to the Tampa Bay Rays, but they had a 7-game winning streak. So last night, this reverse boycott, 27,759 people. All right, you got that right. Monday night, the night prior, while they were on a 6-game winning streak, 4,848 fans showed up to the stadium the night prior. So here's some more numbers for you, real quick.
I'm looking at some of them now. I'm like looking at some of the pictures and the Twitter stuff. So I'm listening.
Yeah. So 2019, they averaged over 19,000. 2020, 20,000, and then 2021 it dropped to a little over 8,700. The last year 9,973, and this year, depending on where you look, they average 8,555 or 8,675. So that's Oakland for you right there. So not only that, so I mentioned the 9 World Series titles. I'm sure some of that happened in Philadelphia before they moved to Oakland. But 12 times since they've been in Oakland, 12 times they've been last in American League attendance. 5 of those are prior to John Fisher. So y'all already weren't coming to the games nearly half the time. This is a California thing. Just 10 years ago, the Kings were talking about moving. And then Mayor KJ had to come in and,
that area is congested.
Yes.
And it's a lot going on. And there's so many options very close. It's like I live here in Jersey. You have Philly, that's close to me. Like it's like a 45-minute drive without traffic. New York, I take the train, but if I drove, it's an hour and some change. But you always have traffic. But I could take the train. A 20-minute drive to the train station. I can be in New York in 70 minutes, about an hour and 10 on average, because you have some express trains and some trains take about 80 minutes because they have multiple stops. And then you have DC, it's a couple hours. So like everything's like right here. There's a bunch of professional teams just in the Jersey area. That Oakland area is the same way. San Francisco, Santa Clara, Sacramento, Oakland, that whole area is just, you have so much going on. So it's like, do you really want to go out to the Oakland game? And the stadium isn't new. There's no like amenities. Whereas if you're a Golden State fan, like that arena's incredible. San Francisco, well, it used to be Levi Stadium. I think the naming rights changed for the San Francisco stadiums in Santa Clara. That's incredible. So they were just behind the times for so long. And then coupled with the fact that they weren't like a viable team. Mm-hmm. They had a game this year where they only had 2,064 fans. There's a going away for the KC-10 on next Wednesday, I believe. We'll probably have 2,000 people standing out there watching that happen. And that's on base in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So this is a baseball game. Granted, it was a Monday. I get it. But only 2,000 people. And then you come out a month later and you're 27,000 deep. Like, even if you go 27,000 every game for the rest of this year, it's still not enough. Because, like, where were you at when I was shooting in the gym? You know what I mean? Like, don't come now because I'm ready to leave, because that deal in Vegas is getting locked in. They approved to use public funds to build the stadium, perfect location. Yeah, that's a done deal.
Yeah, it's just waiting on the governor, you know. So then so, like I said last night, 27,759. So this season, on Tuesday nights, since that was the night that it happened, on Tuesday nights, the A's averaged 3,913 fans.
The highest, more people showed up.
The highest total on a Tuesday so far this season was on April 18th. So at the very beginning of the season, basically, they were playing against the Cubs. And they got 5,196 people to show up to Oakland. So now, granted, they did tear down a team that went to the playoffs for 3 straight years. You know, so I get it. You know, fans are going to lose interest. You know, they're one of the worst teams probably in baseball history. I mean, I just said they're 19-51 or 19-52 now. So I totally understand it. But all that means to me as a sports fan is cheap tickets. You know, and you got the pick of your litter about who you can go see, because ain't nobody else going to the games, and you still ain't going to the games. So as I said last night on 2-5 Daily, maybe you don't deserve the A's in the first place. So then I heard people say, well, the A's are going to go to Vegas. Maybe Oakland will get an expansion team. Well, you don't show that you deserve an expansion team.
Yeah, you're not going to get a badder chick when you don't treat the current one well.
And guess what?
She lets everybody know.
And guess
like,
what?
Oh, yeah, I'm just going to move right in. Like, no, that's not going to happen. That's not how it works.
And guess what? This isn't hockey. This isn't the Las Vegas Knights. Your expansion team is going to be awful, you know, in baseball. The Expos, Montreal is still waiting on a team after the Nationals became a thing. You got Charlotte, Portland, Nashville trying to get into the major leagues, new untapped markets without competitors, versus once the A's are gone, oh, the Giants coming in there. The Giants is swooping all up in there.
You know, some Giant fans going to be like a map where the colors change to black and orange versus the green and yellow just fading away.
Yeah, and don't forget, you know, even though they stayed in state, you know, the Chargers just recently moved to LA. You know, like, this isn't Oakland, the Raiders. This wasn't their first time, you know, leaving Oakland. You know, the Rams have left a couple of times. So it just seems to be a California thing more than it is an Oakland thing. Like, maybe paying all these taxes and, you know, all this stuff is just not worth it.
Tough. They got like a mansion tax in California now. A lot of celebrities are moving to Vegas. A lot of people are moving out of their mansions and selling their mansions for whatever they can get for them to get out of California. Yeah, because they're doing a lot of crazy things.
Even Bryce Harper from Vegas, you know, came out and did the boo-hoo for Oakland and like how this isn't right and like all this and all that. And I guess that Bryce Harper didn't have access to these attendance numbers that I just talked about.
Oh, he could have played for him. I mean, everybody was handing out contracts when he was a free agent. He was a real top free agent. It was like, yo, let's get him. And Mike Trout got like $400 million, and for some reason Bryce Harper took like a 13-year, $335 million deal. I don't know. Like, I don't get baseball contracts, but he could have went to Oakland.
All guaranteed too. You know, and you know,
he could have played, but he didn't go. He can boohoo all he wants, but once again, just like them fans not going to the games, he didn't go to Oakland.
Well, like I said,
out there in the AL West.
You heard me say it. Like, Oakland was one of the teams of my childhood. You know, like the Bash Brothers. Yeah, you know, Ricky Henderson, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco. You know, they were like, I don't want to go too far.
Had the first like black pitcher I can remember. Like, besides like the Dwight Gooden, but like Dave Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bulky dude, looked like a pit bull.
Yeah, they were one of my teams as a kid. Like, you know, before, like, you know, I stayed home with the Orioles or whatever. Like, the A's were like one of those teams that I like to see do well. I was staying up late to watch the earthquake in the World Series. You know, like I have all these fond memories of
that
the
yellow and green just pops. I think the color is dope with the yellow and green with the gray uniforms. I think it's a dope color scheme.
Yeah, for everybody except for the Packers.
Pops well on TV. Yeah, it pops well on TV. The Packers are just too green and too yellow. There's no other, like the A's mix it up with the gray, and you know, they kind of bounce it out.
Then they had the old school. They had the yellow jerseys. You know, like Oakland.
Oh, the yellow jersey with
yeah.
So it's popping. Like, but now they're gonna go to Vegas and probably have the same colors as the Raiders.
So I would like for them to change the name, you know, when they get to Vegas, just because if Oakland does end up with an expansion team at some point, you know, I would like for it to be the Oakland A's. But, you know, the Oakland A's
Cleveland changed to the Ravens.
Yeah, like, you know, like it wouldn't have been the same if it was the Baltimore Browns. Like, they just like the Colts didn't change their name, but you know, it was just, but the Colts are petty because we had our Canadian football team, the Baltimore Stallions, and they took Baltimore to court and said the name was too close. And then they ended up winning the case, and then it turned into the Baltimore CFLs. And then there they go back to Montreal as the Alouettes. But, you know, but yeah, 7,000 people had the green shirts that said sell on it. You know, I do like the fact that all the proceeds, like, well, most of the proceeds from the ticket revenue is going to go to the Alameda County Community Food Bank and the Oakland Public Education Fund. So some good did come out of the reverse boycott. And then, like I said, at the end, some people had to mess it. It's always somebody had to mess it up by throwing stuff on the field. You know, they want a new owner. They don't want the team to leave, but you gotta show up. You gotta show up for the team not to want to leave. Because I mean, how many teams can you think of in sports that would get, what did we say, 8 times? So 8 times less of a crowd that they got in one night, and they're gonna stay in that city?
No one. I think the system failed at multiple layers. Either staying in Oakland might not have been, like, if you're a businessman, I've you know, you get those Instagram clips and like guys from Shark Tank talk about it. It was like, he's like, certain states you just can't start and maintain a business in because of the taxes. California is one of those states. New York's another one. He's like, most people start their businesses out of Texas, Nevada, places like Colorado, just states that don't kill you with the taxes. So if this owner is been looking at to move, and he's like, listen, give me another stadium. That way, at least the stadium will allow me to generate some revenue, maybe some write-offs. You can give naming rights to the Gap Corporation, which he probably has some allegiance to since his, you know, his parents started or whatever. So you get the new stadium, you give him an opportunity to get some write-offs, a new location. It brings a little bit more appeal. But if the bureaucracy of these deals doesn't go through, it's like, all right, I'm done. I got somebody over there showing me a lot of love, you know, so I'm a slide. And I was like, no, stay. Like, no, it's too late. I'm already got my bags packed. So I'm already going to Vegas, where you're the show. Like, you literally put yourselves as a team, as an owner, as an organization in the middle of probably, if you want to argue, New York City, LA, Vegas, the top show based cities in America, maybe even the world. Like you're literally in the middle of like a town where people go to see shows. People are outside in Vegas, all the visitors, the tourists, even the locals. Granted, the stadium being on the strip might kind of detract some of the locals, but I think they'll show up for the games. Like they show up for the Vegas Knights games, they show up for the Aces games, they show up for like summer league and things like that. So stay in California where I got to fight with the state and the city to give me a good stadium, or I send 2 emails to Vegas and they send me back blueprints for a stadium. They're willing to knock down a hotel for it. They're gonna knock down a whole hotel. That people are in this hotel right now chilling, gambling, eating steaks, enjoying themselves. In Vegas, like cool, we'll tear down this whole area and build your stadium right here.
Because he's not
No
a
problem.
businessman, he's a business man.
Like
And but yeah, like I just it just doesn't make sense. And I was actually shocked the vote, for the A's, through the I was about to say Las Vegas, through the Nevada Senate was 12-7. So it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it was going to be somewhat close to unanimous.
well, I mean, if you're there, if you're there, you're like, all right, we already got the football team, and you might have people might have concerns with just traffic because it's
Mhm.
already because it is like Vegas is dope, but it is a lot of traffic because what you have is a lot of loops that go around. Like you take the loop and then you get to where you need to get through, and then you kind of cut through. So it's a lot of loops around the city, like
Right.
215, I-15. So you have a lot of like interstates that loop in and around the city, and then getting through the strip depends on the time of day. It could be quite congested. So it might come with more road construction, and they're always building new casinos.
Hmm.
Like there's always a new casino deal. They're tearing down the old one. They implode an old one. They build a new one almost immediately. Like
Quick.
I've been going to Vegas pretty much since '06. The win wasn't finished. The Encore was built, looks just like the Win that was built. So when I first went to Vegas, the Win wasn't finished. Now they got the Win and the Encore. They're side by side. Cosmopolitan was new. The Aria's new. This other place just popped up as new. I think the Cornwell. I think that casino's new. Uh, I'm trying to think. It's like a
It's
bunch of
always
just
evolving.
always. It's like, and
Always.
they literally put them. Like you'll drive. You go down to Vegas. Like watch the like. If anybody watches The Hangover, watch the opening scene, like the opening credits, and you can see in the background all these casinos being built. You see the scaffoldings, and all of those casinos are built now, and there's more in between those.
Hmm.
Like so, the city just builds so quick, and maybe that 12-7 vote is like, hey, we already
Now,
building enough stuff. Like the
mhm.
T-Mobile Arena, that's new,
Yeah, that's new. We just got to
and
make
that's
sure.
and that's tucked in between the interstate and like behind New York.
Hmm.
Like when you, like I said, I went there and then I didn't go for a couple of years, and I came back and I'm like, how they
It was
built
like a
this,
whole new place.
and it was literally, it's like tucked. It's like, how did they design this? But the people there design casinos, and they somehow fit them into these. It's crazy how like they can pack these casinos in, and how they can build. They build them so quick. Even you would think logistically it'd be tough because you have a whole casino's already built right there. Like, now we can get the scaffolding in here. We just build this whole thing up, and then boom.
Yep. We just got to make sure they got water. That's the only concern, right
That's
now.
it. You just
You
got to
know,
keep digging.
so yeah. So like, it's a sad day for Oakland. Like, I've never been to Oakland, but Oakland strikes me as a place of like hard workers, grinders, people that, you know, pound the grindstone and all that kind of stuff like that, like all those cliches, and of course, you got Marshawn Lynch, so like I got love for Oakland, but I think I got more love for Oakland than they got for the A's.
Yeah.
That's the only problem with that. But yo, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, is that time of show where me and Wrath get some stuff off our chest. So I don't really have much. Wrath is going to piss off like at least like a half of America. So I'm gonna let him get to it. All I'm gonna say is, don't take Bedlam away from too long. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, y'all can figure this out. Like, don't do it. Signed, Mr. Rivalry Guy. The floor is yours, Mr. Logical.
All right, so like I said, I've talked a lot about being a proponent of women's sports and just giving them respect because they made it was a grind for them. I mean, Title IX was signed in 1972. And basically it reads it prohibits sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, gender identity, discrimination, any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Mm-hmm. And I understand that sports world is supposed to be this outlet for people to join in and have realistic competition. I'm a Falcons fan. I have friends that are Saints fans, the Panthers fans, and we a lot of take these jabs at each other. Mike's a Commanders fan. We talk about what team is going to be worse. We have our debates about sports, and I literally have a whole podcast to talk about sports. So I understand that it's supposed to be inclusive, but in the same sense, we got to be realistic and we got to be able to say things out loud that make sense. If you are a boy and you transition and you made that decision, your family's made that decision, and you transition to be a woman, I understand it's I can't empathize, but I can see that could be a very stressful part of your life. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of toll on you mentally. It takes a lot of toll on your family. It takes a lot of adjusting, and it takes a lot of accepting from the people, probably within your family, your community, your friend group, whatever the case may be. And it's a lot of hurdles to get over. And I understand that. And I don't want to limit anyone who's going through that, first and foremost. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that you get to ignore that there is an advantage when someone is biologically male and they're competing against in the individual women's sports. Swimming, running, any kind of throwing, any feats of strength competitions, any body weight lift, any heavyweight lifting competitions, hand-to-hand combat. I mean, biological men fighting biological women as trans women in MMA fights. I'm not trying to be dismissive, but I have really big hands. If I were to transition, these hands don't change size. I'm 245 pounds. I'm probably in a fist fight, I would probably beat up right now. I'd probably beat up a 240-pound woman. And I'm not trying to be dismissive of that, but that's the reality of how I'm physically built. My legs, thighs, feet, hands are big. My knuckles are big. My shoulders are big. If I were to, you have Leah Thomas transition and was on the swim team at Penn, broke records and beat out biological women in this race. And it's like, this is a 6'5" transgender woman. 6'5". How many 6'5" girls are swimmers? Just that advantage in and of itself is a realistic advantage. Floyd Mayweather would never get in the ring with Mike Tyson, and they're both men, because Mike Tyson has a physical advantage over him because he outweighs him by 30 or 40, 50 pounds, maybe not more when they're walking around weight. John Bones Jones doesn't fight a featherweight in MMA matches. He fights someone who's physically matches up with him. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging, like, listen, we need you to be physically equal in order to compete. You can't just allow people to have these advantages and then act as if it's not an advantage because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Don't bring feelings to a facts fight. Be honest. Women's sports are for women. And I know it can be upsetting to hear it this way, but you can have teenage boys who just decide that I want to transition and do nothing other than decide I want to transition, and they go run races with all of their everything. Like, no pills, is just the decision that I want to transition. Okay, cool. you can't compete with girls because you want to transition. I know it's controversial, but let's be realistic. If I literally just put a wig on, it doesn't be, and I'm not like, I'm not trying to be dismissive, but like if I did nothing else to change my body other than say out loud, this is what I want to be, and then sign myself up for a women's competition, like I'm still a man competing with women, so I don't want a show to get canceled, but I also don't want to sit here and just act as if we're going to talk about respecting women's sports and giving shout outs to all these women and wearing, female athletes jerseys and shirts and supporting them financially by buying NBA, WNBA gear and things of that nature, and not have an honest conversation. You have to be honest. It is not a fair fight if a biological man fights a woman in a cage match. It's not even fair if John Bones Jones fought Floyd Mayweather in a cage match. The skill level is not there. The size difference is not there. It's a realistic conversation. So we can have the conversation about why we have weight classes and why a guy can't even fight. If Ryan Garcia would have came into the ring overweight, he wouldn't have fought Gervonta Davis. And Gervonta Davis is strong enough to beat him, but because he didn't match up physically to the parameters of the contract that they had set, he wouldn't have been able to fight him because it would have been an unfair advantage for Ryan Garcia. But how is it not an unfair advantage for a boy named Ryan to race against girls simply because they want to transition? Like I just think it has to be addressed, and we have to be able to have honest conversation. You can get mad at honest conversations, but just quantify and qualify to me. Tell me where I'm out of bounds. In a physical confrontation, Layla Ali would never have fought Lennox Lewis. That's all I'm saying. Let's be realistic.
Mr. Logical got a word in his mouth. I was reading about I believe it was wrestling, where high school wrestling, where it was that type of thing, or like track and field even, where the transitioners were just winning these races, dusting, what we would consider to be women. I try not to use the word female because I got told that that's offensive too. So,
nah, it's not offensive. Listen, words are there for a reason. The truth.
They told
me.
They told me that female strips them of their humanity. And I said, no, your actions do that. But anyway, so no, seriously though, like no, 100%. At some point, we have to acknowledge things exist for a reason. Like even as a pilot, Air Force pilot or whatever, certain heights, certain weights that you have to fit into without a waiver to be able to do those things. You
can't be 6'8" and be an F-16 pilot. You can't fit in.
Yeah, you can't be, 5'1", like you can't be like there's these things exist for safety reasons. And
if
and
you
that's
couldn't
why
lift 40 pounds when I was avionics, you couldn't do the job. There's discriminatory practices that are there for reasons. They're not
legal
like
discrimination. Yes.
Legal discrimination. Like it's not
not based on the color of your skin. It's not based on your sex for real.
If you don't make enough money, you can't get a loan for a home. If you don't have enough time in your job, you can't retire. You can't pull money out of your 401k until you hit a certain age. Like there's limitations in every aspect of our life. It's not just free willy. You can be told no because there's a limitation on what you're asking. People say, oh, there's no limit. Yeah, there are limits. There's rules. There's things in place. If you don't like it, yeah, then we can get it changed if that's necessary. But you have to quantify and qualify why it needs to be changed. It's not a matter of just like, oh, I feel this way. Don't bring your feelings to a facts fight.
Right. So there you go. Like Mr. Logical didn't even know he just came up with the title for the episode right there. You know what I mean?
Man, but it's like I said, it's I know it's been politicized. It's a left issue, it's a right issue. It's not. It's just it's a human.
It's a human issue. Yes,
it's a human issue. It's a realistic. It's an issue that says we all of us need to have realistic conversations about what's going on. It's not just don't piss in my pocket and tell me it's raining. I mean, just keep it 100. Like, let people know. Like, listen, you don't get everything you ask for simply because you feel like you deserve it. That's not how it works.
Right.
100%. That's not how it works. And you're seeing people literally miss out on opportunities because no one wants to speak up. Leah Thomas getting to hold the trophy when they tied in the race because it looked better for the pitchers. For who? She, Riley worked her ass off to win that, to win that race.
Especially when you're talking about a domain like sports, people work hard to get to where they get to in sports. Whether like the women that were there before she came along that broke the records and had the records. Like these people worked hard and dedicated
very hard
to get to that point and to that level of competition. Like imagine, I don't want to say somebody's name because then they'll get it, but just imagine a track and field male, a guy went out and beat Marion Jones in a race, or they beat FloJo in a race, or Jackie Joyner-Kersee, like, do you know how I would just feel cheated, and so I can only imagine how they would feel because women have been fighting for rights and equality, equity, and inclusion for centuries, and we still got a ways to go, but
they're definitely setting it back by not allowing the conversation, just screaming, "Oh, you're a homophobe, or you're transphobe." Like, no, I am pro conversation. I am pro intelligence. I'm pro logic. Give me the logic piece.
Yeah,
like, if you can't give me the logic piece, don't just scream at me. Like I said, I had a friend of mine from Chicago. He said, "Empty wagon makes the most noise."
And we started off talking about President Biden and Dr. Jill. So the last thing I'll say about that, since we about to get canceled anyway, I'm just go ahead and get this off. Saying,
listen,
keep your shirt and your bra on at the White House. Saying, do that for me. Saying, if you don't do nothing else, just keep your shirt and your bra on at the White House. But ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Logical.
We not getting canceled. My grandfather fought in World War II. My father fought in Somalia.
Yeah, right next to Drew Brees' granddaddy.
Listen, the freedom of speech, freedom of living, freedom of press, we're not letting that slide. I'm gonna say what I want to say. You can have your feelings. I'm with it. Holler at me with the facts.
So say it one more time. Don't bring feelings.
Don't bring feelings to a facts fight.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We are Sports Reports as ordered. We will see you next week. We love you, America. Listen to our song. Don't you love this song? I just love this song. It gives me those vibes. This is my battle hymn. So we will see you. We love you. Peace.